Hey folks, Tommy the Butcher for Wise Guys Barbecue with a new exciting video for you. Today we did a smoked meatball submarine sandwich. I know you're gonna like the video, but before we get started, please like, share, and subscribe, and please hit that notification bell so you will not miss an episode. Stay with us, we're gonna be making it together. All right, so we're gonna get started on our meatballs, and what's going into the pot first, I got 3 pounds of 85% lean ground beef. I personally like anything in the 80 to 85% fat content range, 85 being the leanest. Anything more than that, in my opinion, is just gonna give you something that's kind of grainy, and you won't have quite the flavors or the texture as something with a little bit more fat content. So got 85% ground beef, 3 pounds, and I'm gonna add a pound of ground pork. This is an optional item too. I know a lot of recipes call for beef, pork, veal, in different ratios of each. Normally I just go ground beef, but for today, we're gonna go ground pork in there as well. So 3 pounds of beef, 1 pound of ground pork, and the next ingredient I'm gonna throw in is I got about a cup of chopped parsley. Now with the parsley, there's no way you can go too much as far as I'm concerned. But 1 cup for maybe every 3 pounds of meat is a good ratio. So I'm gonna toss that in there. This gives great flavor. Next is I have 4 to 5 cloves of garlic. Now you want this very finely chopped. You don't want anything too chunky in there because somebody's gonna bite into a meatball. I mean, they might like the big chunk of garlic, who knows, but I prefer something a little finer. So we're gonna go in with the 4 to 5 cloves of fresh chopped garlic. Next is breadcrumbs. I have some dried breadcrumbs here, and this is actually mixed with a little grated Pecorino Romano, and there is a little bit of parsley in here as well. We got 4 pounds of meat, so I'm gonna go about maybe a cup of breadcrumbs. I don't like to go too heavy on this. We're gonna go half of this container, and I think we're good with that. Now, this is the key ingredient to making a good meatball, is our cheese. What I'm using is a Pecorino Romano. Parmesan Reggiano is another very popular one, fantastic. But what I find with the Pecorino Romano, it delivers more of a punch. It has a little more saltiness to it, a little more like bang to it. So this will really give you a very flavorful meatball. Whereas the Parmesan, with its nutty flavors, it's a little bit more muted. So you really won't get that punch. I'm looking for that punch in these meatballs because I don't know about you, I've had so many meatballs over the years that some of them are just lacking. So you want, as far as the cheese to breadcrumb ratio goes, at least 1 to 1. And in my opinion, you can go as much as 2 to 1. Now, I know that sounds like a lot, but believe me, you need a strong cheese presence in these meatballs. That's what's gonna give it all the flavor. So I have about 2 to 3 cups of grated Pecorino Romano. Now, another thing, you can purchase this pre-grated or you can purchase it in a chunk. I personally like to do the chunk myself and grate it myself. It's a little bit more work, but you're gonna get much better flavor. You're gonna get much better texture than some of the pre-ground products that are out there. The only other item is eggs. So basically, we're looking at 1 egg for every pound of meat. And we've got 4 pounds of meat in here. We got a lot going on in this bowl so far. So I'm gonna do 4 large eggs. All right, we're just about there. All we have left now is our seasonings. I'm gonna go maybe, I don't know, teaspoon and a half of black pepper. Now on the salt, be very careful on the salt. You don't wanna oversalt this because we got a lot of Pecorino Romano in there, and there's quite a bit of saltiness in that. So you really have to be careful with the salt. So you're better off going less than you think you're gonna need, because what I'm gonna do is once we get all this mixed up, I'm gonna bring it a little piece off to the fry pan. I'm gonna cook a little bit up. We're gonna taste it and see where we are. If we might have to make a few adjustments, but you don't wanna just put all this together and say we're done with it and then bring it to the cook. You wanna know what you're dealing with, what it's gonna taste like. So that's very, very important. And now the next important thing is we gotta get this all mixed up. Don't use spoons, please. Wash your hands. This is the best tool you can use. This is all raw meat. There's nothing cooked in here. We're gonna be cooking it, so there's no danger of getting my hands in these meatballs. So here we go. Just get in there and have at it. So I put about a cup to a cup and a half of breadcrumbs in here, and you certainly can put more. There's no absolute way you have to do this. It's all personal preference. I personally prefer to go a little bit lighter on the breadcrumbs and get more of a meatier texture. It'll give you a firmer bite. But if you would like to add more breadcrumbs, if that's your thing, that's perfectly fine. And what that's gonna do, another important thing, that'll expand the amount of meatballs you're gonna yield out of this, because added breadcrumbs is only gonna increase the volume. So it's something you gotta play around with and develop your own amounts and ratios, and eventually you'll come to something you're gonna like. All right, I'm basically spreading this out. I'm gonna punch it down with my fist so as to get everything evenly distributed. We don't want a meatball which happens to have half the garlic in it or half the parsley in it. We want a nice even mix. All right, so there's our meatball mix. Now I also recommend, once you get this done, let it sit for a while. You can put a plastic wrap over it, cover it, put it in the fridge, and let it sit, I don't know, half an hour, and the flavors will develop even more so during that time. The garlic will go to work, and do that, let it rest for an hour, and then you can roll them up, which is what we're gonna do in a minute. Stick with us. We're gonna roll these babies and get them ready to bring out to the smoker. All right, meatball tip number, 2 or 3 are we up to so far? Once you got your mix complete, never commit to it until you've tried it first yourself. No matter how many times you do this, even myself, I will always taste it before I go with it, because you never know when it's gonna need some adjustment, and now's the time to do that before you've committed and you're ready to serve all your guests. So I'll reach in, and I usually just take a little bit. I'll make a little patty out of it, throw it in the fry pan with a little bit of oil, get it all browned up, let it cool a minute before you bite into it, because if it's too hot, you're not gonna really get the flavors on something that's too hot. It's gonna be burning your mouth. So we're gonna test this, and I'm pretty sure it's on point, but I wanna be more than sure. So we're gonna taste this off. All right, so I just cooked up my little meatball patty. These are great too. You can, rather than meatballs, you can make Italian hamburgers, as I call them. Do this, throw them on the grill, slice of provolone cheese, but that's another cook, that's another story. I wanna see what this tastes like right now. We're good. The cheese is there, the salt is there. Not a thing I need to do to this. So we're gonna go with this, and we're gonna get these rolled up, and we'll be back in a second. All right, folks, we're ready to roll our balls. I'm gonna go, you can make these any size you want. Once again, this is another personal preference. I'm not trying to say you have to do it a certain way whatsoever. It's all up to you. So I'm gonna go, this is generally what I do, about 1.5 inches, and it's quite a bit of, we got 4 pounds of mix in here, so this is gonna take a little while, but with the magic of television, it's gonna take 2 seconds for you folks who are watching. All right, number 25, and we're on to the final one out of this 4 pounds of meatball mix we had. So there we go. We got 26 meatballs out of that, 4 pounds of meat. So that's it. Get them all rolled up. We've got them on wire racks. We're gonna bring them out to the smoker, and we'll see you out there in a second. All right, we're outside with our meatballs, and we're running at 275. We're gonna get these on. We're gonna let them go for an hour, just enough to get some smoke flavor on them. We're probably looking at 150-degree internal temperature. All right, on they go. We're looking good. We're gonna come back out in about an hour, check them out, see what we're looking at for color. We're gonna bring these to 150-degree internal temperature, but that's not gonna be the finished temp. We're gonna be bringing these in. I'm gonna be making a marinara sauce. We'll get the meatballs into the marinara sauce, and they will continue cooking so we can get that to the safe zone of 165-degree internal temperature. So we'll be back outside in an hour, and we'll check you out then. All right, our meatballs are on, and now's the perfect time to come inside, and we're gonna put together a marinara sauce for our meatball. This is very simple marinara sauce, where I'm only using a few minor ingredients, but it's the perfect backdrop for meatballs or something along those lines, because it has a tremendous tomato flavor, and there's not a lot of seasonings in this, so it's not gonna overpower what's in there. I only want it to complement the meatballs. So I'm gonna start off with, I'm using whole peeled tomatoes now. I got a couple of cans, either 28-ounce cans of a San Marzano tomato. Now, I'm using our bowl that we did the meatball mix in. So I'm gonna use this You're probably wondering, what am I gonna do with these whole tomatoes? But I'm gonna go in and crush them by hand. And this is gonna give us a lot of texture as well in our sauce. So this bowl that we made our meatball mix in, might as well use it for another purpose. And we're gonna go in here, and little by little, I'm gonna hand crush all these tomatoes. Now, when you're doing this, make sure you get down deep, because there are times when your hand might be up a little too high. You're gonna squeeze that tomato, and what's gonna happen? This is gonna squirt halfway across your kitchen. So yeah, get down deep and make sure that what you're crushing is kind of submerged. But we're just gonna go in this for a while and just keep hand crushing them up. All right, we got our tomatoes all hand crushed. We're ready to go to the pot with it. But first, I want to get this heated up, and we're gonna get some olive oil in here. Here's the other thing. When I'm doing this sauce, I like quite a bit of oil. It's probably more than what's needed, but I prefer it that way. I like that little bit of oiliness in the finished product, and it just adds a little more flavor. It adds a little more texture, and I'm not afraid to be heavy with the oil. So I'm probably putting about a half a cup of olive oil in here. All right, this is a very, very simple recipe. The olive oil, about a half a cup of olive oil. I've got about 5 medium or 3 large cloves of garlic chopped up. And you don't want to let this garlic go too long. It can burn really quickly. So once you get a little color on it and you can begin to smell the fragrance, smell the aroma, you want to go immediately in with your tomato. If you burn this garlic, it'll give a very bitter taste, and it's not something you're really gonna want. So our garlic's going, in we go with our 2 28-ounce cans of tomatoes. You can see the texture in those. If you're looking for a smoother texture and you're not looking for anything that's somewhat chunky like this is, by all means, you can put the tomatoes in a blender. You can put them in a food processor and get them all more of a puree without any texture on it like I have here. But quite frankly, I love this texture. Now, this is a quick marinara sauce. We're gonna bring this up to heat. We're gonna bring it to a simmer, and we're gonna season it off, and then we're gonna check for the acidity. And I say the cook time for this marinara is only gonna be 15-20 minutes. And when we get to the finish stage, we're just gonna add some fresh basil to it right at the end. And that's about it. We're gonna season with salt and pepper. The most time and labor that went into this was doing our tomatoes. That's the only labor, time-consuming process that's involved putting this together. Other than that, once you get that done, this is, man, you can finish this, pull this off in less than a half hour, and you have very fresh, bright flavors, and you know, there's nothing too difficult that goes into this. So that's it. We're gonna bring this to a simmer. We're gonna let it go for maybe about 10 minutes. We'll give it a taste, and then at that point, we're gonna check for the acidity levels in it. I'm gonna add some honey. You can add sugar, but we're not doing a lot. We're not trying to make this sweet by any means. All we're doing is trying to neutralize the acid in there, so it'll give us a nice balanced flavor. All right, our marinara sauce has been simmering for about 10 minutes, and the only thing left to do, we're gonna give it a taste, check for seasoning. I'm gonna add just a little bit more salt, and the key ingredient is honey. Now, what this will do is it'll neutralize some of that acidity. Honey works great. Sugar will work fine as well. And I'm probably only gonna do, I'm only gonna like eye this. I'm gonna do about maybe a tablespoon of honey. I think that's good. Because like I said, we don't wanna sweeten this sauce by any means. All we wanna do is neutralize the acid. Sometimes these tomatoes can get pretty acidic, and I found just a little bit of sugar or even honey, because has a nice consistency and has a little bit less sweetness than the sugar does. Wow, made a huge difference. And the last thing I'm gonna do, I've got maybe 6 or 8 fresh basil leaves. I'm just gonna give this a quick chiffonade, and this is something you wanna do right at the very end. Sprinkle it in, stir it in, and we are done. That finishes off our marinara. We're gonna just remove it from the heat. We've already turned the heat off, but I wanna get it off that. Set it aside, put a lid on it to keep warm. And our meatballs are coming along. Just check, they have great color coming along, and we're gonna go out in about 15-20 minutes, pull them, we're gonna get them into the sauce, and we're gonna continue the cook for maybe 20 minutes to a half hour tops in the sauce. Just a light simmer, very light simmer, and we'll be done with it, so stay tuned. All right, it's been an hour. We're gonna take a look at our meatballs. Wow. All right, we got some great color. I'm liking what I see. I'm just gonna probe them and see what we're looking at for internal temperatures. 160, 163, we're good. I was looking to go 150. Some of these are definitely actually ready to eat now, but we're gonna get these off. We're gonna get them into the marinara. We're gonna let that simmer for, at this point, it only looks like about 10 minutes. And at that point, we'll be building our meatball subs, our smoked meatball subs. So see you back inside in a minute. All right, we're back inside with our meatballs. We're gonna get them into the sauce right now. I brought this pot back up to a simmer, and we're just gonna go all in with all 26 meatballs. They're on, we got the simmering. I'm gonna throw the lid back on. We're gonna give it about 10 minutes. All right, folks, we're ready to plate up our smoked meatball sub. Everything's come together. It's all cooked off. We had these meatballs simmering for about 10 minutes after we brought them in from the smoker. And I have a nice soft Italian bun. And we're gonna, literally, I'm gonna go, all right, I'm gonna go 3. I was gonna go 4, but I think that's getting a little bit too overzealous here. So I'm gonna spoon a little bit of our marinara sauce over the top. And I'm gonna hit it with a little final sprinkling of grated Parmigiano Reggiano. Now, if you remember when we did the meatball mix, we used a Pecorino Romano. And for our finishing dust, we're gonna use the Parmigiano Reggiano. It has more of a nuttier flavor. So now we have the 2 cheeses going on. We got a Pecorino Romano and we have a Parmesan Reggiano. All right, folks, we've plated up our meatball sub, our smoked meatball sub, and we've went ahead and we cleaned the kitchen up a little bit. We got ourselves all reorganized. And we built our sub. I got 3 meatballs on here. I can't wait to dive in. We finished it off with some grated Parmigiano Reggiano and some chopped fresh parsley. Folks, there's only one thing left to do now. So I've been waiting for this all day. Incredible. Folks, the meatballs have tremendous flavor. That 1 hour spent in the smoker actually brought them up to another level. We got a little smokiness in the background, and that fresh marinara sauce is killer. And we did it a very fresh way with no spices or any other ingredients. Very simple, and it just complements the meatballs tremendously. Folks, this is a winner. You gotta try this. And you don't have to have a smoker to do this. You could do the meatballs on a grill, gas grill, charcoal grill. That'll work too. Just get them out there, you know, medium heat on your grill. You want to have it offset, so it's not on a direct flame or anything like that. You know, get them to about 160 degrees and get them back in your marinara, your red sauce. You're going to love this. Thumbs up if you like the video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you will not miss an episode. So happy that you could join us today, and we can't wait to see you the next time. So long.